It's our last convention ever in life. Thank you. Good call, Red Card. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello, every pony, and welcome to our panel, which hasn't started yet.
You guys need anything before I leave?
I'm good.
It's an hour panel.
I need my sanity. Can you bring me that?
I don't think there's enough tea in China to buy that.
How dare you, sir?
So you get nothing.
You get
lose.
nothing.
Good day, sir.
Good day to you,
I
sir.
love that.
That is a ferret.
It's a stoat. It's a stoat. His name is Malcolm. Please respect him.
It was actually good.
That's another book series that I used to read all the time. There's this series called the Eddie Dickens trilogy, and it's just like, it's in the same vein as a series of unfortunate events, but it's just ridiculous. It's just this poor kid who goes to live with his family, and they're all crazy. Like, there's Mad Uncle Jack and even madder Aunt Maud. Aunt Maud lives in like a wooden cow named Marjorie. It's great. It's great.
What's it called again?
The Eddie Dickens trilogy. Yeah. And they named a character the Great Zucchini,
Yeah, the picture
which is funny because that is not a word in England. Like, they don't know what a zucchini is. So they don't think it's funny. They're like,
It's one of my favorites.
it's just a funny word.
Queen.
Yeah.
Tim Short as the Mad Hatter. Robbie Coltrane is one of the.
Robbie Coltrane.
He's either.
He did hybrid.
Yes, he's either Twin or Whoopi Goldberg as the Cheshire Cat. What?
Are you talking about the one with Gene Wilder in it?
Yes, this is
Yeah. With the girl from, what is that movie with the seal? What is that movie with the seal? Andre. It's got the girl from Andre, who also becomes,
Are you going to have any sound on?
who becomes that lady from Napoleon Dynamite.
Awesome.
I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll,
she's
we'll
Alice.
get started in just a
I know
minute.
you're talking about, she always looks young. Like
She
always
does.
looks like a little girl, no matter what.
Yeah, and Carol Channing's in it.
Tina Majorino.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has her. Whoopi
And
Goldberg,
Carol
Gene
Channing
Wilder,
is in
Martin
it.
Short, Robbie Coltrane, Ben Kingsley, Ken Dodd.
There she is. Sarah, go talk into your mic so
Go
we can
talk
mic
in your
check.
microphone. Hello, every pony, and welcome to Pony Cosplay 101. Yay!
So before we get started on all the fun cosplay stuff, we just want to share a little bit about ourselves. So a little bit about me. My name is Maddie. I go by Maddymoiselle. I've been cosplaying for about 5 years now, primarily in the My Little Pony community. I also dabble in Disney. I've done some anime, some video game stuff. And I've also been acting since I was a little teeny tiny Maddie. Theater, improv, singing and dancing. So whenever I do a cosplay, my main focus is characterization, really bringing that character to life as fully as I can. And because I like to perform and act, I get to perform at horse cons, which is really fun. We're all a part of the Grand Galloping Gala BronyCon. We do a lot of in-character panels, a lot of kids events in character, which are always the best. And when I am They're clapping. Thank you. When I'm not cosplaying, I'm a big old dweeb. I love D&D. I'm playing a Wood Elf Druid right now, and she is my child. I love her. I love Stardew Valley. I love farming sims specifically. I'm a huge advocate for wildlife conservation, and I cry over ponies. And at the bottom, there's my social media if you'd like to check out my stuff. I post all the time. Oh!
Okay,
This
so
is
this
our-
is a cosplayer that's not here right now, but she's amazing. Her
She's
name is
beautiful.
Mew. She's gorgeous. She's wonderful. Check her out. She's not here.
She's with us in spirit. She's a spooky ghost over here.
I
Yeah.
guess we're just holding on to that for the next one.
We really
do.
are, but we also use a lot of her photos in our slides here because she has some really beautiful cosplay builds.
She's a good new.
Oh, it's me. Hello, every pony. I am Shelby, aka Shelbeanie Cosplay. I have been cosplaying since 2008, but really seriously cosplaying only in the past, I want to say 5 or 6 years. I'm known for my Disney cosplays, my Little Pony cosplays, mostly princesses and Gravity Falls and ponies. But I've been a member of the gala at BronyCon since 2015. Oh, look at that. I have a very expensive piece of paper that says I sing real pretty from the other USC, not the one over here. The one that lost the lawsuit for that name. Dab. I'm sorry. That was like the only thing they would talk about at school. I've worked in like every aspect of theater, from performing on stage to stage managing to costume design. I've done just about everything, music directing. I've done it all. And my overall goal is to be a voice actor. I've been sewing for 17 years. Who is this old woman? Okay. Almost 17 years. I'll be 29 in November, so almost 17 years. I am an ancient woman and I know what I'm talking about, so please listen to me. I've costumed a lot of shows. There's my social media.
Hello and welcome, Join us. everyone.
Hi, friend.
Come on in.
All right, I'm Sarahndipity. I've been cosplaying for 7 years. I've been cosplaying within the My Little Pony community for 7 years. I'm a licensed cosmetologist and an award-winning cosplayer within the community. I've won awards for my Princess Luna and Nightmare Moon cosplays that I made from scratch. I cosplay for My Little Pony, Disney, Gravity Falls. You know, I like Harry Potter, a little bit of anime. I'm kind of exploring my horizons and trying some new things as well. I'm a huge nerd. I've done a lot of panels through all the different pony conventions. I did start at BronyCon 2014. I was there for the first gala show that we did, and we've just done a bunch of other fun interactive panels, educational panels at like Babs and Everfree, and just throughout time. I specialize mostly with wigs and makeup and kind of being really creative with like the shapes, angles, contouring, lighting, stuff like that, and creating a lot of volume for your hair. It's my favorite thing to do, so that's what I'm really big on. There's my social media at the bottom if you'd like to support me or follow me and see me scream about olives like I did the other day on Twitter. So.
Awesome. So, there's our other friend.
He's not here.
He's
Rest
not
in
here.
pepperonis. He's at work.
He's over
great.
there, invisible.
He's over there.
Look, it's my
You,
big brother
you're
best
welcome.
friend.
The sibling supreme.
No, Steven is the sibling supreme.
Former sibling supreme, I mean. Right?
So before we dive into specifics of cosplay, I want to talk a little bit about what cosplay is. It's a literal combination of the words costume and play, playing in costume. It's a whole lot of fun. Costuming originally became a hobby in the 1930s in North America. There were a lot of fancy dress parties and costume parties and masquerades in the early 30s and 40s. And then later in the 1900s, when sci-fi conventions started getting popular, people would go dressed up as their favorite Star Trek characters. Star Wars was really huge, all that sort of stuff. And then in 1984, a Japanese reporter came over to report on Worldcon in Los Angeles, which is a very, very huge nerd gathering, if you will. And he was actually the first person to coin the term cosplay. He was the first one to write about it and use it in reference to dressing up in costume. And ever since then, cosplay has become a huge subculture. It exploded, especially in the early 2000s when anime got really, really popular in North America. It was when, you know, Toonami and Adult Swim were starting to show anime, and people started to be like, hey, I want to dress up as these cool characters. And that's when we had our first big cosplay boom. And ever since then, cosplay is a worldwide phenomenon. You can't really have geek culture without cosplay anymore. And there's a lot of people that actually make their living off of cosplay now. So over on the side there, we have some lovely cosplay ladies. On the top there is Jessica Negri. She actually makes her entire living very comfortably through Patreon and selling prints and just being sort of a personality online with her cosplay. Below that is Kamui Cosplay, who is really well known for her armor building. She has several books on using Warbla, which is a thermoplastic, using EVA foam to build armor. She's a huge resource for the cosplay community. And then on the bottom there is Yaya Han. A lot of people call her like the queen of cosplay. She likes to say she's the mom of cosplay. She got noticed very early on when cosplay was first getting started, and she's a great sort of representative for the cosplay community. She's been able to share a lot around the world, really. She's gone to a lot of different cons all over the place. So to get started with pony cosplay specifically, we're going to break it down into a few different types of cosplay. There's humanized, which is when you're going to take a pony and make it a person. There's anthro, which is short for anthropomorphic, so human-like with animal parts, you know, ears, horns, tails, all that stuff. And then together in the third category, we have gender bent and cosplay, which is either changing the gender of the character you're cosplaying as, or cosplaying as a gender you don't identify as, or a cool combination of the both. So those are the three categories that we're going to focus on today. Do you want to talk about this?
First is humanized pony cosplay. Humanized means taking something that's not human, like a pony, and making it human. There's no ears, wings, tail, anything like that. Equestria Girls is a great example. We're all kind of doing that today of the humanized version of My Little Pony, making it more like us and less four-legged, you know? Cool. So those are some examples. That's us with me as the princesses. Down below we have Tama Melon, Destructive Doll, the beautiful us. Got Destructive Doll and Sadira cosplay as well. We're doing
And Drowning in
And
Rice.
Drowning in Rice. Don't forget Jess. You said
Drowning in Rice. I love her. I love to drown in rice. Yes.
Don't we all?
Yeah, so we have a great group of friends doing that, and it's a great part of cosplay is cosplaying with friends.
Yeah. All right. And here are a couple examples of the humanized pony cosplay. There is the lovely Mew as Trixie. She actually based that off of an Equestria Girls design and kind of did her own spin on it. But it's very clearly Trixie without any use of a unicorn horn or ears or anything. And then I've got these two lovely ladies in their Nightmare Nights costumes.
I'm a human dressed as a pony dressed as a chicken. And you're a human dressed as a pony dressed as a wizard.
dressed as a weird clown.
Weird clown. Weird clown. There you go.
But I did get the bells right.
Yes, you did. It was
true.
really fun.
Are you a wizard?
Wizard.
So, Anthro pony cosplays, anthro or anthropomorphic, is a term that primarily is used in the furry community, which are like fursuiters, but it can be used for pony stuff as well. So, anthro is a human-like form with animalistic features, like wings or a tail or horn, all the thing. If you think like Zootopia or Robin Hood, that's sort of in that family of like anthropomorphized.
That's closer on like the animal with human features versus like Equestria Girls, which are more humans with tiny
Animal
little
features
ears
during
and stuff.
their magical transformation. So like adding ears or wings or tails or a horn to the cosplay is making it a little bit more pony familiarity to it. So.
Yeah. So for example, we have the lovely Melantama, formerly known as Blue, as Celestia there, and her entire look is stunning, but she did decide to add those wings and that horn, and she does have ears behind that giant crown as well. But it just sort of adds to the grandeur of Celestia there, and you can really tell that it is that big old pony princess. And here are a couple more examples, sort of in different, like on the spectrum of anthropomorphizing things. Sarah, you've got your ears.
Yeah.
And there we have Mew again as a crossover of Dragon Maid and Discord. And what I really, really like about this as an example is that she could just wear that maid costume with the pigtails and it'd be like, oh, she's a really cute maid. But as soon as you add those Discord horns, you're immediately like, yep, that's Discord. That is a great crossover of Discord and Dragon Maid. So just adding little details can really amp up your cosplay really well. And then we also have Melantama again with her Twilight there. Super duper cute, and I think she actually painted those wings herself.
She did.
Awesome. And now we have Gender Bent and Crossplay. Do you want to talk about this one again since we got your beautiful picture
I
up
will
there?
do it since my beautiful picture is up
Great.
there. So there's two different methods. They're pretty similar, but they're also pretty different. So gender bending is when you take a character that is an established gender and you switch it, either for character's sake or for, sometimes it's done for humor. So like Fluttershy becomes Flutterguy. There's actually like canon names for each of the gender bents. Like Elusive is Rarity, and yeah, they're all of them. They all have them. So crossplay is where you are cosplaying a character that is a gender you don't identify as. So like I cosplay Dipper from Gravity Falls all the time. I do not identify as male, but I love dressing up like that tiny 12-year-old boy. He's a good nugget. So it's similar to drag, which is really more of a amped up version of it. So that's really done more for over-the-topness, but there's also like smaller versions where it's more done for like realism. Yeah. So, and it really depends on how much you put into the makeup for it. So if you're wanting to go really over the top, like a drag queen or a drag king, it's really over the top makeup. If you're wanting to just cosplay straight up, it's really more just like natural contouring.
Awesome. So then here are some lovely examples.
Look at Steven being a beautiful
Look at
child.
that beautiful elusive rarity there.
Good bean.
He's a star.
My father will hear about this.
So now that we know the basic sort of themes that you can follow, where do you start when you're building your cosplay? So there's a bunch of different options for different paths that you can go down. The first one, which is probably the easiest, the most beginner friendly, is closet cosplay, which is when you're going to be pulling pieces from your own wardrobe, from a thrift store, just going into a store and purchasing items. My Applejack there is all purchased. The only thing I did was cut out that little U in her hat. Everything else was just off the rack. You can also commission pieces. If you don't feel like you have the skills to sew something or build something, you can pay someone else to make that costume for you. Usually when it comes to commissions, you're getting something of very high quality and you're going to be paying a lot for it because you're paying that person for their skills, you're paying for their time, you're also paying for the wear and tear on their machines or any sort of tools that they use. So while you're paying usually a pretty high price, you're getting a really, really high quality costume as well.
Additionally, you're paying for the fabric and the supplies.
Yes. And then lastly, there is DIY. So you can do it yourself, grab some fabric, thread, sewing machine, whatever you need to make your costume, and you make it yourself. All right, so we're gonna do a real basic overview on wigs. If you guys want to go into more detail with us, we will be having a wig and makeup panel on Sunday morning. But just to go over a little bit of that, do you want to talk about this, Sarah?
So there are different kinds of wigs. There are hard front wigs, there's lace front wigs, there's like frontal wigs and stuff like that too, half wigs, whatever. But usually for cosplay, people just stick with the hard front or like a party wig or the lace front. There's a lot of reliable wig sources that you can see. There's Arta Wigs, Epic Cosplay, Rockstar Wigs. You can even find some really good sellers on Amazon and eBay. Amazon Prime has a lot of really great lace fronts, and there's people who have, reviews up there, so you can tell if it's really good quality. Definitely pay attention to reviews online, especially if you're ordering like somewhere like eBay. Just
Absolutely.
it can be very hit or miss. So with the Arta Wigs, the Epic Cosplay Wigs, I think you both are wearing Arta Wigs.
yes.
Actually, my base here is a Epic Cosplay wig, but I have Arta weft sewn into it. We'll take questions at the end of the panel. But for lace front wigs as well, is yours a lace front?
No, hers is a hard front.
Both of them have hard front wigs. I have a lace front. The difference is just like the way the hair falls. Usually there's a skin top for just a regular hard top wig. So it just kind of falls down. You side sweep the bangs and you're good to go. With lace, you can actually see there's like a little bit of mesh here with hair individually tied to create a natural looking hairline, which is what I wanted to do for Starlight Glimmer as example, because she has like a really big swoop and it looks kind of weird to me having that big plastic band there. So I wanted something more natural to make it look like it actually is my hair, because as far as you guys know, it is my real hair. So yeah, it's very fun for that.
Awesome. So a lot of people don't wear wigs with their cosplays, and that's totally cool. Like dye your hair, use those chalks or waxes or what have you. But there are a lot of reasons that wigs will help you out and are a great investment when it comes to cosplaying. We're going to be cosplaying as animated characters that have so much hair that the animators can put into any style that they want. Nobody has that much hair, so we're able to achieve a more animated look. We're able to have that giant swoopy hairstyles that really isn't very possible with real people hair. You're also gonna have a lot more consistency with your costumes. We've been wearing these costumes to a bunch of different cons, and we don't have to worry about styling our real hair every single time. We can pull our wigs off of a wig head and we're instantly just popped right into that character and our design that we were intending. And with correct maintenance, these wigs can last for years and years and years. I've had this sunset wig for 3 years now, and with just a little bit of cleaning and restyling every so often, it's held up very well. So that's really a great reason why it's worth it to look for more high quality, maybe a little bit more expensive wigs from time to time if you plan on being that character often.
My roommate just restyled an Arta wig that's probably about 10, 12 years old. It's one of the originals. And she took it from like a matted mess into a beautiful wig again. So it's a little more expensive for the Epic Cosplay or the Arta wigs, but it's totally worth it because the longevity of the wig is going to be so much more than something on Amazon or eBay.
Absolutely.
Really paying for the quality for sure.
Ooh, I have Dell updates. Remind me later.
Do it right now. It says do it now.
So, along with having that consistency with your costume, if you're planning on wearing multiple costumes over a con weekend, it's going to help you switch out either midday or each day. I know people who dye their hair for costumes, and sometimes it can look really, really lovely. I have a friend who dyes his beard all the time, but he can only really cosplay that character with that giant green beard all weekend. Whereas, I'm going to be Applejack tomorrow. She doesn't have bright red hair, and I'm going to be able to pop this off, pop the other wig on, and I'm good to go.
You should put my sunburst in there from
I
last
should
year.
put your
That was
sunburst
very
in
good.
there.
Yeah.
She had orange hair and she did sunburst.
Yeah.
And it just went.
Yeah,
and then she
'cause
was sunburst. It was
Yeah.
great.
sometimes natural hair works incredibly well, but also sometimes wigs are much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just worked it.
And dyeing your hair too frequently can also cause damage. My friend with his giant green beard, he dyed it a lot. You should dye your beard, friendo, in the back. But he dyed it so often that it got a little crusty for a little bit, and he had to really let it grow out and be healthy again, because that beard hair needs to be taken care of with its oils and everything
Same
too.
with your actual hair.
Same
and
with your
natural
actual
oils
hair.
And everything.
So if you are dyeing your hair for costumes, try not to do it too frequently, and if you are, do it healthy and with a professional. Don't do a box dye, because you have your hair for hopefully most of your life, and you want to take good care of it and have it be healthy. All right, cosplay makeup.
Cosplay is makeup important. Cosplay makeup is important regardless of your gender. You can be male presenting and you could wear makeup. You can be female presenting and wear makeup. It doesn't really matter because there's always different things you can do with makeup. So, for a male character, for example, you can use contouring stuff. If you don't want to do blush and whatever, you can still do a little bit of makeup to change your shape of your face a little bit to match maybe the characteristics of the character, like from the show, for example. Because again, you're translating a pony into a human, so you can kind of be creative with that.
But so much highlighter and mascara on Steven when he was elusive.
Yeah, it was glittery. It was
He's
beautiful. He looked
so
good.
sparkly.
But it helps to kind of create a really clean and flawless image. The thing about makeup too, especially if you have a really pronounced wig, is a lot of the times whenever you wear a wig, it washes out your face. So it's sort of like doing theater makeup, where you do it a little extra heavy. It might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but if you're doing a lot of photography or stage performances, it really does make a difference, and it really makes your look pop. It just brings everything together, and it looks a little bit more consistent. So it's really, really important to have a good skincare routine when you're doing makeup, because a lot of heavy-duty makeup can clog up your pores or cause, acne, oils, wrinkles, whatever it is. So you want to make sure you're really, really good at cleaning your skin before and after the process.
Use a makeup remover.
Use makeup
and
remover.
wash your face. Double
Cleanse
cleanse.
your skin. Use your toners and whatever. You don't have to necessarily use expensive makeup. You can use drugstore makeup if that is what works for you. It's the process of how you use it creatively to create the look that you're going for. And practice makes perfect.
I will say that if you have a difficult to match skin tone though, going to a counter in the mall is actually
Yes.
easier, because you can have them match you to a specific color. Whereas if you go to Target or Walgreens, you basically go, that looks like me. And so you never know if
Sometimes
in
it's
particular.
too yellow, sometimes it's too pink, but you can go
Sometimes
to a
it's just straight up
professional.
too dark.
Sometimes it's just too dark, yeah. But you can go to a professional and they can color match you, and you can get really good stuff. So continuing with cosplay makeup, it's always a really good idea to sort of come up with a concept and a design before you get started putting stuff on your face. And you want to go step by step. There's a lot of different methods and routines that people follow. What I usually do is I start with a concealer and foundation base. I know you guys start with your eye makeup first.
I actually start with my foundation and go
Oh,
to
you
my
do?
eyes.
Yeah.
I do a base layer foundation, and then I do my eye makeup because I use a lot of colors that have a lot of fallout. So I don't want to have to redo everything I just did.
But then once you start that base, you're going to build off of that with your contour, your blush, eyeshadow, lipstick, all that fun stuff. And when you are applying all that and creating your design, you want to think about what your character would wear. For example, I cosplay Applejack. I still wear makeup, but I wouldn't wear as much makeup with Applejack as I would if I were cosplaying Rarity. Rarity's got those big old falsies, a bright lip, whereas Applejack's going to be much more natural. You're going to see those freckles she has, all that sort of stuff. And color schemes that the characters have really help when it comes to designing stuff. For example, with Rarity, she's got those blues, those purples, deep burgundies, gem tones to work off of, where Applejack would probably have, you know, rosy cheeks from the sun and a lot more natural colors to her face.
Eyes. So one of the staple pieces for pony cosplays are those really big dramatic eyes, because as we all know, they're very cute and adorable, but they're ginormous. So there's a lot of different ways that you can go about creating that same effect and doing it safely. You can use color contacts, false eyelashes, eyeliner, stuff like that. False lashes can be purchased online. You can do it at drugstores or beauty supply stores. They have plenty. I'd say about 80% of my falsies are from the brand Ardell, which you can find basically at like any drugstore, Ulta, Sally Beauty, anything like that. But practicing, especially if you're like new to falsies, is very important than doing it the day of the con, because you can ruin all of your makeup with your glue if you're not careful. But make sure your colored eye contacts are FDA approved. I think now if you're ordering overseas, you have to at least upload a picture of your prescription from your eye doctor, because there's a lot more serious measurements now to do that, because a lot of people were talking about getting eye infections and stuff like that. Don't get it from a gas station. Don't get your contacts from a gas station.
Or
I don't know
a
why they sell
Halloween
them,
store. Don't purchase them at a Halloween store if they're just
No.
basic lenses. You want to get one that's fit to your eye specifically.
Absolutely. So for me personally, I have really brown eyes, and a lot of the characters that I like to cosplay have really not so brown eyes. So I usually wear color contacts. We're actually wearing the same pair.
We're actually wearing the same
because we both
contacts.
have like the same brown eyes. So we're wearing like EOS Fairy Violet is the brand, but like it just kind of adds a little bit more drama and more of like a cartoony feel to it. The false lashes kind of add more drama and accentuation to the eyes. Again, great for stage performances, for photo shoots, stuff like that you're doing.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I actually never wear color contacts with my cosplays. I have really sensitive dry eyes, so I just don't want to risk being uncomfortable all day long.
Additionally, your eyes are so freaking blue.
Yeah, you can get away with it all the time.
How dare! If you had my brown eyes, you wouldn't be able to get away with that.
No, you wouldn't.
So,
It's okay, you're beautiful.
But they look pretty, but they're also not required. So don't be sticking stuff in your eyes if you don't feel comfortable, and don't be sticking stuff in your eyes that's not safe for your eyeballs either. It's not worth it.
Disinfect your contacts between uses too, that's important.
Yes, cleaning.
Clean them.
So let's talk about designing your cosplay. There's a whole lot of different things you can do with this. It's whatever you're visualizing your character to be. You can use inspiration from the character itself, from different fashion design, makeup design, pull together a whole costume together, and that's when you're gonna start building it. On the side there, I have my original Tempest Shadow design, which has actually gone through a few different changes and different things at this point, but that was my original plan. I kind of pulled together almost like a mood board of sorts with different things that inspired me. That wig was a stunning wig created by a drag queen that I follow on Instagram, and I was like, oh, it has the shape I want. So I pulled that for inspiration. I wanted to make sure that I had her color scheme on there and everything, and that's what I referenced. So then from there, when you're building your cosplay, you can purchase things and alter them. Use items that you found at a thrift store. I pattern all of my cosplays with old bed sheets I buy at Goodwill because it's super cheap and you can just buy a whole bunch of sheets and cut them up however you need them. And you know, there's no inappropriate way to build your cosplay. Whatever's working for you, whatever suits your needs the best is the way that you want to go forward down that path.
So here's an example of my Queen Crystal's cosplay. So I'm one of those people who like plans cosplays years in advance because I'm crazy. So like after BronyCon 2016, I was like, I'm gonna make Crystals for BronyCon 2017, and the con was over after like a week, and I came up with that design. I drew like 6 different ones. That was the first one I did, and I ended up picking that one overall. I had the little drapey cape thing actually was my prom dress I had from senior year of high school. That was like 5 years previous. And when I got that prom dress, I was like, one day I'm going to use this for my Crystals cosplay. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And it took 5 years for me to do it, but I did it. It was very, very satisfying and very weird, like taking apart this like really expensive dress. But I made something cool out of it, and it was great. But I don't really know like what inspired me. Like I Sense a Dragon, like she had this really cool design, and there was butterflies, and I was like, butterflies. everyone does like fishnets and stuff, but butterflies is so clever because the whole chrysalis thing. So I was like, okay, let me play with that. So I decided just to incorporate some butterfly fabric. I like hopped into Joann's and I saw the fabric that I used for like the top part of the dress, and I was like, that is perfect. It's exactly what I needed. Because you can see the drawing, like it's like literally the same thing. I freaked out. But yeah, I decided to stay away from the horns, the ears, and the wings just because I didn't have room to pack it. And it's for me, my health issues, it was a little bit easier to maintain without it. So I decided to drop the like Anthro stuff. But yeah, I'm really proud of the fact it kind of matched, and it was a lot of fun to bring it to life.
And then on the other end of things, instead of completely designing something from scratch, you can also just pull from the source material. Almost everything on that sunset cosplay that I made is purchased and altered just a little bit. But being able to reference from the show can help when you're first starting out as well. If you're not too sure about designing something, you know, figuring out fashion stuff, you can always just pull from the show and build off of that as well. Do you want to talk about posing?
Sure. So if you're cosplaying at an event, there's always a lot of chances. Well, there's definitely the possibility that someone's going to say, hey, can I take your picture? So when that does happen, you want to do your research on your character. You want to do your research on the most flattering poses, like the mannerisms that they have, because like Twilight Sparkle wouldn't be like, hi guys, let's take a picture like this. But, and Pinkie Pie wouldn't be like, in a picture. It just wouldn't be complimentary to the character. Do be mindful when you are positioning though, because if you're standing in front of a vendor's booth, they're not going to be very happy. If you're taking pictures in the back of a panel room while a panel's going on, that's not very respectful to the people on stage. Make sure that you are in at least the best lighting for your situation. You don't want to have a shadow on you. You don't want to be backlit. Is your head tilted unnaturally? That's always creepy. That's always creepy, unless you're trying to be a creepy character.
That's true.
And then find poses that complement your body and your costume. So like if you have a really amazing corset on, you don't want to like stick your hands in front of your costume. You don't want to keep your hands by your side if it's going to make your posture look bad or your figure look bad. Like you want to make sure that you are looking as good as you feel. That is the way you want to go. And it is okay to say no to pictures, and it's okay to say no if you feel uncomfortable during the pictures as well. So cosplay is not consent.
Cosplay is not consent.
So here's some more posing examples there. Our Cadence and Chrysalis photo, one of my favorite photos that I've ever taken in costume.
I was talking about this at Baz, but like my favorite thing is we were like trying to come up with something, and we looked at the glass and we were like, we should do the thing and do half and do the and we just like ran and did the thing in like 5 minutes. It was great, but it was a really, really fun shot.
And there is our friend Mew as Coloratura. And she actually got to go into Bronypalooza at BronyCon while they were setting up and doing sound checks. So she got these really, really awesome shots with the lights and like the screens in the background going off and stuff. I'm her biggest fan. I love her.
She's good.
Such a queen.
She based her cosplay off of a Lady Gaga outfit she wore at a concert too. So like if you look at Lady Gaga, you can see the similarities between her design. She made everything. She literally made her boots from scratch. They're not.
She hand sewed that pink jacket too. It was crazy.
She's incredible.
She's incredibly talented. You should definitely check out her work if you
Go
haven't
look at
heard
her
of
stuff.
Please.
And then there's a group of friends again in the corner.
Yeah, and we actually had, I think our Fluttershy on the end went around and had a picture on her phone, and she's like,
Like
okay,
posing
put your
everybody.
hand here, put your hand there. And then she ran over and did her pose, and we got that great shot. So speaking of cosplay is not consent, we're going to get a little serious for a second. There's no fun, pretty pictures on this slide because we're going to be serious about this. Cosplay is not consent. What does that mean? It means that we are not here as props, we are not here as playthings. Nobody should be feeling uncomfortable in or out of cosplay at a convention. We want to make sure that we're respecting a cosplayer's personal space, that nobody is being touched without permission and consent, and that also includes costume pieces and props. When I first started cosplaying, I did a derpy cosplay with these little foam wings, and there were people coming up and playing with the wings without me even being aware of it, and realizing that after the fact when my friends were like, did you know that person was so uncomfortable don't be that person. Just be friendly, ask permission. If you want to hug, ask the cosplayer first. And if you don't want to hug somebody and you're the cosplayer, just say no. Be polite about it. I'm sorry, maybe we can pose like this instead. But it's always okay to say no to that stuff. If you want to take a picture with a cosplayer, ask them first, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want a picture on Twitter of me like eating something and I'm like, oh, trying to eat something.
People do candids all the time.
Like taking candid photos is cool in some situations, but you want to respect the person that you're taking a photo of, especially if you're like a stranger or just an acquaintance in passing. Just respect is the key, really.
Yeah.
If something is unwanted is done to a cosplayer, be that yourself or someone that like you witnessed something unwanted happen to them, it is considered harassment at in like terms of every single code of conduct that I've ever read, and it can and should be reported to con staff if the person is feeling uncomfortable. Because if nothing gets reported, it's going to happen to other people, and we want to cut that off as soon as we can. We don't want anyone feeling uncomfortable or scared or wanting to go home at a place where we're supposed to be celebrating one another. Along with that, cosplayers are not the actual characters. We do in-character panels at almost every con that we go to. That's the time when you want to come up and be like, hey, Twilight, I love that episode where you did this thing. But when we're walking around the vendor hall and, enjoying these beautiful art pieces that we're seeing, it's not super comfortable to come up and be like, Sunset Shimmer, I still don't forgive you from when you bullied Fluttershy in the first movie, which actually happened and it was really uncomfortable. So, if you want to do that cute little interaction, ask the cosplayer first. 9 times out of 10, we're going to be super stoked to be like a cute little weeb with ya. But if a cosplayer says no or leave me alone, it is something that should be respected.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we'll just play along with it anyway because we're pretty fun-loving kinds of people, but there are times where it crosses the line.
Mm-hmm. And sort of just to sum it all up, respect should be given to everyone, in or out of costume. This is a place where we should be celebrating each other and lifting each other up, not making anyone feel bad about themselves or where they are. And now back to some fun stuff. These are our pro tips.
Wow, we sure do love coupons.
We sure do love coupons. Don't go anywhere without coupons when you're purchasing supplies for costumes. Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, almost any sort of craft store, fabric store, do-it-yourself store, they have coupons online. You can sign up for newsletters. I get Joann's texts on my phone almost every morning. So don't go in and spend full price on things when you can save that money, because this hobby is so expensive.
Joann's also just started a program, so if they scan the top of the app first, it actually gets you points, so you'll get extra coupons and like extra goodie things, which is pretty cool. They just started that recently.
That's awesome.
Play smile points or something, right?
Yeah, and then always shopping the sales for like Winarda or Honey Color or Pinky Paradise. They always will have these sales during like Black Friday. Sometimes they'll do a random like, it's St. Patrick's Day, we're doing 10% off all green wigs kind of thing.
They do that for Valentine's Day at Arda.
All
They
pink
did, like,
wigs,
pink
pink
and
and
red
red wigs, 25% off, well 10% off.
Yeah, any kind of deal that you can get, makeup too.
Yep.
Everything that you're putting into a costume is going to be pricey in some way. It's 9 times out of 10 luxury items that you don't need, and it's really fun to cosplay, but you don't need to, so save money when you can. Also, if you're unsure of how to do something, at this point in time, because cosplay is so widespread, there is almost a tutorial for every single thing you could ever want to make online. Go to YouTube, go to Google, literally type in, Twilight Sparkle cosplay. You'll get a couple different, website blog posts of how someone made their costume. I looked up something the other day, I think it was foam crowns. And someone had a literal Celestia foam crown tutorial that I could base my Cadence crown off of. So there's a million tutorials for makeup, for prop building, foam armor, sewing. I taught myself how to sew using YouTube and like this cheapo little machine. And also, Nothing has to be perfect the first time around. Don't kill yourself to finish a cosplay in time for the con. Do as I say, not as I do. I stay up really late and I make myself very stressed out when I make costumes, and it is not fun and it is not healthy. Don't do that.
Don't do it. Be
You
better
can
than us.
go to a con in an unfinished costume and finish it for the next con. You can start a costume and add on to it over the years. I did a Tempest Shadow cosplay last BronyCon, and it was my first time doing anything with EVA foam. It was very clear that I was a beginner, and I was able to take it back home and rework it, and I am so proud of it now with the things that I've learned. I was able to premiere it at BabsCon a month ago, and I felt really good in it because I was able to take that time. I wasn't, pushing myself too hard, and I was able to take the time to figure it out, sit down, learn the techniques that I wanted, and come up with something I was super duper proud of.
You did a pretty good job with it for BronyCon, I must say.
Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
It was baby's first armor.
Same thing goes for like wigs and makeup looks too. Like I know when I first started doing like makeup for Pinkie Pie, like oh gosh, it was just like slathering blue eyeshadow and like really poor eyeliner. But like this wig, for example, I did a wig last year for Everfree for a Starlight Glimmer, and I absolutely hated it. So I decided to revamp it and do something new. So you can always update your costumes. There's nothing wrong with that. It actually kind of makes the process a little bit more fun. See
Yeah.
how much progress you've made over time.
And coming down to everything and wrapping it up, cosplay is about fun. We like to have fun. We're all dressing up as horses and running around a hotel for a weekend. We want to have fun.
Yay, horses.
Don't
Yay,
compare
horses.
yourself to others. We're all on our own journeys when it comes to learning how to build things, how to sew things, make friends. Like if you see another person cosplaying the same character, go up and be like, hey, that's cool, I like you. And you're gonna make friendos that last a lifetime.
Make friends, not enemies.
That's how I met you. We met you because of cosplay.
Yeah.
you're doing a big
Like,
mascot.
you're nice, you're a good person, we're friends now.
We're friends now.
Yeah, friendship.
Yeah, and then celebrate that hard work that you do together. I build these two up as much as they build me up, and it is so special and wonderful. Cosplay should never be a competition unless you're entering a cosplay contest. That's the only time it should be a
On
contest.
stage, folks.
And finally, yay,
Yay,
horses.
horses.
Yay, horses.
We are going to open up a Q&A. If anyone has questions, we got 5 minutes for that. Thank you, 5. Go ahead.
Just a thought on like the consent and, we're not the characters. I would say like for the touching, the only thing that's within reason is like a tap on the shoulder to get attention.
I would argue not even that.
Really?
Yeah, because I've had people come up and grab me, and it makes me very uncomfortable. If that same person had come up and just said, excuse me, I would have been so happy to talk to them and take a picture. Perhaps if it's a small child, I'd be comfortable with that, but personally, I don't want anybody I don't know touching me unless I say, yes, you can.
But also, we're not the characters. I'd say like the only one I would be comfortable with someone walking up to me and addressing me as the character would be a kid about that big.
Exactly.
Well, and the
We're
thing
always
is, when we're walking around, people don't know our names.
Yeah.
So if somebody's like, "Oh my gosh, Sunset Shimmer, can I take your picture?" That's fine.
Yeah.
It's another thing to be like, "Twilight Sparkle, come here!"
That just happened to me like earlier today. Someone yelled at me
Yeah.
to get my attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It scared me. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, just be polite,
that.
common courtesy.
Absolutely.
Is that yes, sir?
Question about the PowerPoint. Do you have like a way of dispersing it to people so that we can like look at the stuff?
Yeah, I could upload it and
Yeah,
pop
maybe
it up
just give
somewhere.
Email addresses, and if you like email it to us or something.
Yeah, you know what? What I can do is I can upload this to my Google Drive and I can post it on my social media if that works.
Sounds like a good
There's
idea.
also Red Card is gonna have this up on your channel.
That's right.
Yes.
So this panel will be up on YouTube, and
Lots of fancy graphics and stuff.
yeah, he's pretty
He's a
top notch
fancy
about
boy.
everything.
More on-topic question.
Yes.
How do you guys, or what are some like techniques that you might use to try to bring out like the saturation or like the brightness, like for the Chrysalis costume? I noticed that like the dress actually, like the flames really stood out in most of like almost all the photos. Like wow, like that's not the place your eyes are usually drawn to, but it's really powerful. What are some like ways that you guys think about that? And like I don't know, the only thing I can think of is like, oh, if you're like in a horror game, like they tell you like change the brightness or whatever.
The contrast.
Yeah, it's contrast. It's just like when you're doing pictures, they do the contrast and saturation. You're using totally perfect lingo, bro. I gotcha.
What are some techniques that you guys use for that? Because that seems to be something that like a lot of costumes, especially for My Little Pony, are like banking on, is that high contrast.
Yeah.
We all have really good color memory. Like we are all very, very good with like looking at a color and going, okay, this is exactly the color that I need. I always have reference pictures on my phone. And
Collages.
if we have a fabric already in mind, a lot of times we'll take that fabric with us or take a swatch of that. Sometimes I'll have a notebook where I'll cut and paste like pieces and put it in there and take it with me everywhere I'm going.
I bring a bag of Joann's with my fabric I previously purchased. I'm like, I just promise I didn't steal any of this.
And a lot of times it comes down to just what looks best with this fabric. Sometimes it comes down to us having to dye fabric again. Sometimes it comes down to overlaying fabric. So like I did a Flame Princess from Adventure Time dress. I used organza, but the organza on top of the orange it just sort of blended in. So I put it on top of an orange fabric that was matching the flames. And so it really gave it that contrast to it. So there's different little things. There's also glitter. You can add glitter, you can add rhinestones.
Make everything sparkly. It really adds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think understanding color theory helps a lot.
Absolutely.
Knowing what colors work together really well, knowing which ones are going to clash a little bit more. And then also just with the flames specifically on Sarah's dress, from what I've seen, I think the texture of it really helped it pop. You can't really tell with photos, it's very poppy, but it's like almost like a mesh of sorts, right?
It's like glitter and it's like kind of tie-dye with like the lime green and the yellow. So like when it blends together in photos, it looks kind of like a gradient.
So texture can really help too
So
if you
texture,
can.
that like modifies the lighting of it because
Yeah.
It does.
There you go.
I did the
Yeah.
same thing for my Princess Luna cape I just made for BabsCon. It has like a layer of like purple glitter mesh and then there's like blue on top. And in photos, it looks like a gradient because I'm glad it looks like that in photos because it doesn't look like that so much in person, but it does kind of photo that
Well,
way.
it's the way the light.
Yeah, it plays with the different colors, which is exactly what I wanted. So it made it easier than me having to paint it.
So in the case where you're trying to get like a really stunning sort of contrast, you might consider using different fabrics.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
Like I said, we carry our fabric around. We literally will put things next to it. If you use a matte fabric next to a shiny fabric, it's going to make it really pop and vice versa.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you ever had characters that, like your skin tone or something that just didn't match with their complexion or anything?
Elsa.
Elsa.
So, yeah, Sarah and I both have very, very olive complexions, but when we have to do Elsa, we have to do a whole lot of like color correcting. Yeah,
Before we even put anything
before
else
we
on
put
our
anything
faces.
on, because all the colors are very cool tones. But I know that we have all done a really good job of like, if a character is warmer, add bronzer. It changes the whole look. If a character is cooler, use a cooler color blush. Use a purple color corrector to take out the yellow.
But there also is a point that you need to be careful of crossing. It's been a big issue in the cosplay community in large right now, black facing and brown facing.
You don't
Do not use a concealer or a foundation that is not your skin tone. Work with what you have. It's always been my belief that cosplay is not about looking identical. It's about bringing that character to life in your own form. So no one should have to darken or lighten their skin for any character, even if you don't match that character. Working with the skin you have, color correcting, bringing up other sort of undertones you may have, or adding more blush or contouring is great. But if you're taking a bronzer palette and covering your face with bronzer, that's when it gets inappropriate, I would say.
Yeah, no. You just want to warm up your features, not cover your features
You
with
can usually
bronzer.
tell that it's not very natural either, so it just doesn't help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Van. Yes.
Okay, this is our last question. Go ahead, no worries.
Doing my first cosplay tomorrow, how do you get over the nerves of that first time?
Be proud of your work.
Do your research on the character. Completely, like for me, if I can live in that character, I'm not nervous. I'm not personally nervous. Because when I started doing stage productions, I was terrified to go on stage. But I would let the character take over and it was fine. Who you cosplaying?
Wonder Woman.
You're gonna be Wonder Woman?
Yes!
Girl, live your best life.
I did my own kind of cross, I like to try, I'm Wonder Woman pony.
Yeah,
I love that.
do
I
it.
Yeah, I would say take a minute before you leave your hotel room tomorrow, look in that mirror, do that superhero pose, and just feel that strength, because everyone's going to be stoked to see you. And even if you do have that little tiny bit of, unsureness or a little bit of insecurity, know that everyone here is going to be so stoked for you.
Absolutely.
And worst case scenario, they don't recognize the cosplay.
But you're still having fun.
Thank you for doing it badly.
Yeah, my first year here, I had this horrible box head because I was trying to do a cross between Invader Zim and Rainbow Dash. People still loved it. I got people asking for pictures and, people asking me the next day what happened to my box head because I couldn't get rid of it. It was so heavy. And so even like the worst cosplay that has ever been done, people will still smile, say, I love that.
I would say out of any community, this is one of the best to start cosplaying
Yes.
in. Everyone is
That's where I started.
incredibly supportive.
The friendship is
And so
real
ready.
at horse cons. The friendship is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, live your best life, fam. You're gonna look amazing. Come and find us. What are we
Yes.
gonna be tomorrow? I'm gonna be Pinkie Pie. She's gonna
Applejack,
be.
Twilight.
So
Yeah.
come find us.
But thank you guys for coming.
Yeah.
This is really fun. Go out and cosplay and look fabulous.
If you do see us throughout the convention and we do have some downtime and you do have any questions, like I know at least I'm definitely more than welcome to answer some if you guys have questions.
Let us know.
We love talking shop, so come talk to us.